Hey, good evening, guys. Welcome to the Green Room. So great to be back. We missed y'all last week. We decided to take a break because of the presidential debate or debacle. That was a lot of fun to watch. It was fun, the day of, the evening of, and of course the weekend after, because that SNL skit afterwards was just hilarious. But I want to welcome you to the show. My co-host, Dr. Wendy Askew, as always, and we have a very special guest with us this evening. We're being hosted by Brian here at the Vault. It's amazing. I'm going to let Dr. Wendy kind of introduce Brian for us.
Brian Hutchinson is the owner of the Vault, and he is a believer in cannabis medicine and CBD medicine and in H-Empirical's products. So in getting to know him and his lovely wife, Kelsey, we were just sharing our common interests, and they have generously offered to sponsor episode 27 of the Green Room tonight.
That 26. Is 26. It's okay. We missed last week because of the debacle.
Sorry, I didn't watch that debate, by the way. I was at soccer practice, and I think it was much better time better spent, to be honest.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yes. But now on to more important things. So we're thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for your sponsorship and for having us. This facility is magnificent.
Thank you.
So you.
My wife and I started Vault here in San Antonio.
Fantastic. And it's just not local, right? You have cars and collectors from all over the country,
all over the world.
Planet.
I mean, we've got cars from Hawaii. We've got I send cars out to Sweden. I just sent. We got stuff sent out to the Middle East. So
fabulous.
All sorts of things in here. I mean, Porsches, Ferraris. I mean, I know y'all can't see it.
Guys, y'all can't see this, but it's absolutely, it is a boy's dream come true.
No, well, girls too.
Well, girls too. Okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
We like to think of it as a museum.
It is like a museum.
We like to think of it as a museum. There's lots of history in here.
Absolutely. It's like I wish I could get a mattress and just sleep in here because it's like so beautiful. It's just gorgeous.
Yes, so we're going to be talking about the history of cannabis and the history of cars. Not as much cars tonight, Brian, but maybe in the next episode.
But it's so amazing what the Vault does here, because you do a restoration, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
So they store cars here, beautiful cars, trucks, Jeeps, amazing World War II Jeeps. But it's just amazing what they do in restoration as well. Taking some of these things that they have, some of these older trucks as well, these old Chevys that they just look phenomenal. Cool. But what they've done with them to restore them back to what they once were, it's kind of like we want to do with you guys in the CBD industry. Our goal is to help you find the right products to get you restored, rejuvenated to what you once were, to give you that quality of life that you've been looking for. So that's how we're kind of tying in our whole talk tonight.
And I'm just excited to be here and to see all of your fabulous things, and then to share. And y'all are super philanthropic. I didn't realize how generous you guys are, and we have some common friends too, right? So De Novo is one of the
De Novo Foundation, which we're not doing as much, but it's helping San Antonio's homeless.
Fixing up cars that are donated.
Fixing cars, we'll buy a car at auction and donate it
to homeless families, or families that are struggling.
The families that are struggling.
They can get their kids to school and they can get to their jobs.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And then we have a common friend, Manny Diaz.
Absolutely.
And the Ferrari Kid is a beautiful organization, and Manny's just a lovely, lovely person. He has struggled and fought and won so many cancers in his life that his dream was to create a charity that could help children fighting with cancers. And so the Ferrari Kid, they take care of their families too, but these children that have to go to the hospital for their chemotherapies and their surgeries, they pick them up, and so you use your vehicles.
We have a couple Ferraris, the blue one behind us that we use. It's a 458 Spider, top goes down. Take a kid to treatment. Usually the Ferrari Kid Ferrari's in here, but it's at other events. So we are the official storage facility of the Ferrari Kid Ferrari. They're California. So
nice.
It's such a
very close with Manny and in that organization as well.
That's great.
Beautiful. And then also Operation Comfort. So you're supporting the military too.
Absolutely.
You're hitting all of our favorite groups. I think this is so cool. I didn't realize people as young as
you're like the absolute perfect sponsor for us.
I know.
Everything we love all tied into one. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then sports, iSports.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Yeah, I play in San Antonio sports. So.
Awesome. I don't play, but I watch. Yeah, and I support and I cheer. So yeah, I'm so impressed with everything that you guys are doing here with your skills and what you're doing with the cars. So thank you so much for sponsoring and for hosting. It's nice to be on location.
Absolutely. Thank you all for
So
being here.
can you tell us a little bit about what got you into this whole business? How did you get started in this and your passion behind it?
See, I've always had cars. I mean, ever since I was young, I mean, I've always lived either a little toy car and I would polish it, even to when I got older. When I turned 16 and then into 17, I went to school for kinesiology and decided kinesiology wasn't my calling. I got into retail management, 10 years of retail management and retail world, got tired of that. But cars were always my passion. I always had neat cars. I was always doing stuff on cars for other people. And then in 2013, Kelsey and I started Vault from our house. 6 months later, we moved into another storage facility not far from here that was about 7,000 square feet. Outgrew that within 6 months, and then added this location, and we've been in this location ever since. And as you can see right now, we've got about 54 cars that we store and maintain for collectors all around the world.
Awesome.
That is just amazing.
Awesome.
Absolutely amazing. So I think I was telling you. So I'm restoring my mother's old car that was my grandfather's up until he died recently, about a year ago, and so it's a '71 Caprice Classic convertible. So now I found a place to actually come and store my car.
Exactly.
Once
If
it's
you need
done.
some help.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
if you're
it's-
not. Yeah, are you restoring it yourself?
Oh no! So I've got somebody. Unfortunately,
Oh my
I wish I
God.
would have known Brian before that, because I would have definitely come here first. But unfortunately, fortunately, I found somebody in Pleasanton
Good.
who's actually putting it together for me. He's been doing a great job.
The great thing is once it's done, we can maintain it, and that's what we do here in Vault is maintain, preserve, and really keep the history that's in a lot of these cars. We are climate controlled or humidity controlled, so we stay around 76 degrees in here with 40% relative humidity, which is imperative to the older classic cars. So kind of pride ourselves on being San Antonio's premier climate and humidity controlled storage facility.
And you serve all. I'm sorry.
Local. No, I was going to say you're not just. What I was thinking about it, like not just San Antonio. Like people don't bring their cars to Dallas or Houston. They come to this little San
I
Antonio.
know, San Antonio, right?
Sweet
But you
Lord.
service all type of clients, right? You service anywhere from like a Honda up to these
Yep.
Porsches, Ferraris.
Absolutely. We
So-
treat everybody the same. It doesn't matter if they come in with a Honda that needs a $100 detail or a Rolls Royce if they need a $30,000 concourse detail. And we've done a lot of details for Pebble Beach, Concourse Elegance, a lot of the most prestigious national concourses around the country.
And you get to have a little fun, right? You get
Oh,
to take
absolutely.
these cars out and drive them and open them up on the track.
The
They're-
worst thing you can do for a car is let it sit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of what we do as Vault is to start the cars weekly. They're connected to battery tenders, check all the fluids, maintain the curvature of the tires by parking them on tire savers. So, it's a full-time job, making sure that all the cars are
loved.
loved. There
Yes, yes. And maybe we'll go for a ride with you sometime.
you go. Absolutely.
Yes.
There's a track in San Antonio?
They're not in San Antonio. We have Austin is Circuit of the Americas.
Circuit
So it's
of
a
the
formula. It's a
Americas.
world famous Formula One track.
I've only gone there for concerts.
Yeah.
But
About an hour and a half north of us, and we do take some of the Ferraris and
so fun.
so.
That sounds amazing. Okay, that'll be for another episode. But
Well, I want to say hello to all of our viewers this evening. We got quite a few viewers joining us this evening. So, Kimmy, always nice to see you from California, and Sarah, and Sandy, and
Dr. Rogers is watching.
yes, Dr. Rogers.
Thanks
It's
for
awesome.
checking in.
Sarah, Andrew, and Lucy. Nice to see you as well, and Sam.
Sam tuned in.
Yeah, David's joining us as well, and Elizabeth. Nice to see all you guys, Shirley and Addison. That's awesome, guys.
Thank you
Welcome
all.
to our
Thank
show
you.
tonight. So we're hoping that you're going to really enjoy our show. Our goal is really to kind of, as always, educate. You know, we want to be able to share with you the best opportunities for CBD and the uses of our CBD and what we can kind of do for you as a consumer. You know, when we got into this business, it was all about trying to find the right products for the right patients for the right time. Because sometimes you have great days, you know, my wife has her good days and bad days. And when I got into this, you know, and Brian, I'm sure you may have heard this before, but when I first got into this, it's because of my wife's disease, you know. So it's kind of what drew us into this business. And really, after we continue to talk to more and more consumers, it's just amazing how we can really fine-tune the process for each individual consumer. And that's what they really like about what Empirical does for them, is taking that time, that effort, not only to talk to a physician like Dr. Wendy asked you, but also for us for myself also as a nurse, as a healthcare provider, taking that time to make sure that we can share with those patients or those consumers. I keep calling them patients. I'm so used to the healthcare arena, but taking care of those consumers to meet those individual needs. Because for instance, I had one that called in just a couple of days ago and said, "Hey, look, I've seen your shows, I've seen your products, I've learned all about CBD, but I just don't really know what I really need. So I'm having some insomnia, but I also have pain in my left shoulder. Sometimes it's my right knee." So we started talking about different things, what exacerbates his condition. So taking the time to find the right product for him, it took me 30 minutes, but for him, it was time well spent, because he didn't have to buy multiple products. It was one product to treat all his needs.
Right.
So.
And like we've said before, patients come up and we hear a lot from people like, "Oh, I've tried CBD, it didn't work for me." But there's so many different products, and the quality's everywhere, and then the concentrations. So people are buying, 250 milligram vials. That's like what I give my dog, and it's just probably not going to be strong enough to treat, especially severe cases of pain and anxiety. So it's just good to kind of have conversations with people and explain the differences and just share what we know with people. So that's what we all do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my wife has an autoimmune disease, and these products have really been a lifesaver. From every night, she has inflammation in her back, just pain and swelling, and then we put the 2,500 milligram cream on her back, massage it in, and then within minutes, she's able to move and function a little bit better. And I was actually reading earlier, 80% of the United States, somebody at some point this year will have back pain. So it's not just for inflammation. Lower back, sciatica, 80% of the population is going to suffer from some sort of back pain.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder who the 20% are. Children.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
toddlers. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm so excited to hear that. And you might want to tune in, a shameless plug for my vlog next week. We're going to be talking about the microbiome and the inflammation and how you can help to decrease inflammation through your diet, because we all eat pretty badly. But anyway, no, the CBD is phenomenal for inflammation. And we met somebody really interesting at Bernie Market Days today. One of the, not patient, a customer who came by, has a horrible type of pain that's similar to something called trigeminal neuralgia, where she had surgery, spinal surgery, and they damaged a nerve. And so she's got this like fire on one little slice of her face, and it's debilitating. People with this kind of nerve pain, like, they can't function, nothing can control it. She's on huge doses of Cymbalta and gabapentin and narcotics, and she finally is getting some relief with some CBD. She said it's better than most of the prescriptions.
and it doesn't have the side effects that the prescriptions do.
Exactly. So it's life-changing for a lot of people, and that's what we really want to do, is help people as safely and holistically as we can.
So they can drive on CBD, because it's so funny.
Yeah.
This weekend, I can't tell you how many people were walking by our booth and they were saying, "Oh, no, I don't do those type of things." And I was like, "Well, what type of things are you talking about?" "No, we don't get high. We don't do that." Then I had some people from Colorado saying, "Oh no, I get the good stuff." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, more power to you." But we're still here in Texas, so we can't do that for them. But individuals, it's just amazing how many individuals really don't understand the difference between CBD and cannabis.
Right.
They are, in their eyes, they're one and one.
Yeah.
There's no difference for them. So they perceive us as we're drug pushers. Somehow we're trying to force people into an illicit drug, and they really have no idea what it can really do for them.
Yeah.
When we actually catch them, and that one opportunity to catch them and educate individuals, I did that with probably at least 15 people this weekend.
Wow.
It was so amazing to see their face just change from
Yeah.
just as pissed off, like, "Why did you stop me?" to like, "Holy cow, I can't believe this is what
Yeah.
you do."
It's terrific. And then, do you know, I have some patients, and then actually a chiropractor that I just love. At their practice, his wife made the comment to me that they're Christian, and so they don't feel comfortable using it. And that was like a fantastic opportunity for me
Yes.
to start talking about, well, I'm Christian and I use it all the time. And but talking a little bit historically, because it's referenced in all of the religious manuscripts, including in the Bible. So we're going to talk and touch on that just a tiny bit as we get into things. But it got such a bad reputation and so demonized and vilified in this country for really bad reasons, really unfounded reasons. And so we're going to take a little time in a few minutes and kind of go through how it went from being the plant that all the civilizations all over the planet had used throughout the millennia to being a Schedule I drug and a dangerous illicit narcotic. And so I think that's important for people to understand, because it should never have been deemed a bad drug. And so hopefully we're all working and doing what we can to break those stereotypes down.
And for those of you who have not had the opportunity to hear Dr. Wendy ask you speak before, she actually is, she's so engaging. You know, that's what I love about sitting in the show with you is I learn something new from you every single time. So one of the things we're going to learn about tonight is, of course, like she talked about, the history. So we're going to be talking about Up in Smoke, a history of cannabis and prohibition in the U.S. Guys, it's going to be something that, you know, it's just going to be mind-boggling for you just to learn some of the small things about this. You know, what this was all about, how long it's really been used. It's been used, you know, for centuries all over the world. And up until the 70s, it was actually something that you could actually pay your taxes with, was actually the use of hemp. So I really wish I could pay my taxes with hemp right now. I would love to pay my taxes with hemp right now.
I think all of us would.
Oh, man.
Now, so
but up until the 70s, you could actually do that. People would
Like,
trade
Nazi
to
rolling
pay their
stuff.
taxes with
Yeah.
hemp. So I was like, God, I can't imagine. I
Learn
got
something new every
3,300
day.
acres.
Every day.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So, no, but awesome. We can't wait to kind of go into greater detail about that stuff. But I just want to continue to kind of talk about this amazing place tonight. There's just your monster
My
truck.
fave.
Your monster truck over there is just. My son would be going crazy right now. He'd be like, Dad, we can't leave here without that truck.
You got to bring. Oh, you just missed it.
Which one?
He could have bought it.
Oh, yeah.
For Jaden. Yeah, Brian just sold that truck.
Well, thank
My
God.
favorite one is the World War II Jeep.
1945 World War II Jeep, operational guns. It's got a 50
I
cal. I
know.
mean, it's got all sorts of stuff on it.
It is awesome.
Tons of history in that Jeep.
It's like being on the MASH set, although that wasn't. Yeah, but anyway, it's such a cool vehicle. I can't.
The truck, like, we'll go back to that one, but that's 17-inch lift with 40-inch tires. I mean, that's a monster truck.
Okay, so just so you know, before you got here, actually, my wife didn't think I can get up on that truck, so I had to get up there just to prove to her that, you know, yes, I'm a tiny guy, but I could still get my tail up.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
We'll put you in a Ferrari next. So that's step one. Step two is Ferrari. So.
There you go.
I don't know if
like
I'm ready to go that stage. I'm afraid I get in there, I won't want to
You
get
don't
out.
want to leave.
Yeah, I'm not going to get out.
Exactly. It's almost Christmas. Yeah.
But it's again, it's just an amazing opportunity. I want to thank you for hosting us this
Absolutely, thank you.
evening.
Kelsey, you guys are so sweet. We just think the world of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and just, you know, if there's any opportunities that individuals have to kind of come in or make contact with you, what's the best way for them to really reach out and solicit your services?
Yeah, so my phone number is area code 210-438-2501, and that's my cell phone. Call, text, and if I don't answer, leave me a message, and I'll get right back to y'all. But everything from storage to detailing to restoration to concierge, all sorts of things we offer here in Vault. So.
Well, I'm definitely gonna hit you up for that because
Thank you.
I'm gonna need quite a few of those things once I get my car
Once you
redone,
get
so
your-
restored.
yeah, your new car.
I'm excited about it. I'll probably drive it for a full month, and then I
And
won't
once
want
it gets all dirty, you'll bring it in here.
There you go. I'll be like, okay, time to keep it indoors because
There you
I just
go.
don't have enough room. My wife and I were talking about that. It's time for us to move out to a new house because I need a 4 or 5 car garage,
Awesome.
you know, versus like a 2 car because I have too many toys and I want to like, you know, do so many things with
That's how
them.
Vault was formed. We had a private collection. We needed more space, so we slowly got to where we are now. And
Common problems. Yeah.
yeah.
It's good
Yep.
problems.
Good problems to have, of
Exactly.
course.
Exactly.
I'd love to have a problem like this, though. I mean,
I
this
know.
this is just amazing.
So
Absolutely
When you
amazing.
love what you do, you don't work another day in your life.
You know, and that's so true because, you know, in everything I've been doing for the past 20 years, I've been self-employed for 20 years now, and I can tell you without a doubt, waking up every single day, it's not hard. You don't dread waking up. You get up out of bed, you know, on the days that my back doesn't hurt, I can get right up out of bed and, you know, get in the shower and take off. You know,
Be
it's
excited. Yeah.
Work is not.
great.
It's not work. It's just. It's a part of life. It's just.
absolutely
It's
is.
you know. What can you do
Gives meaning.
better today?
Yeah.
You know.
And the fact that I get to work with Justin and Kelsey, I mean, we got
Your wife,
great people
yeah.
here, so
Great situation.
absolutely. So.
That is absolutely fantastic. So are we gonna take a break? Are we gonna take an intermission before we get started in the next one? Awesome. Since Mike is
Do we?
he's kind of hinting to me. He's like, yeah, I think we're going to go to a break real quick. But one of the things that we really want to do, guys, is we want you to really come back. We're going to take a 2-minute intermission and kind of get ready for the next part of our show. We're really going to be talking about the history of prohibition and the cannabis. There's a lot of exciting stuff that Dr. Wendy's going to share with us tonight that I really want you to know as a consumer, because it's really important. Because one of the big things that with the Farm Bill that passed in 2014, there's a lot of changes that are still coming up before the Congress. We're supposed to have a vote last week. 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, and they missed it because of the whole thing going on with COVID and the whole thing going on with the Democrats and Republicans can't seem to come together. So they've pushed that. Now it's probably not going to happen until March, or maybe, hopefully, if we're lucky, maybe later this year.
Yeah.
But I'm not holding my breath, unfortunately. But it's something that we as consumers need to come together and start talking to our senators or congressmen about how we as an individual population want to make sure that this product is made available to us as consumers. Because it really is, once you identify the benefits for you and your family, you'll definitely see the same thing that we do, which is we want this for you guys to make a difference in your lives.
Absolutely. Great. So go grab a drink, potty break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes, right, Stephen? Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
See you in a
thanks,
few
guys.
minutes.
Doing all right, man? Swing looks a little off.
Yeah, I've got this slight pain in my elbow the longer I play.
Gotcha, man. I was having that same pain in my elbow. Like the second hole it hit, pain just be excruciating.
Oh, yeah?
Found this roll-on cream that's been a game changer for me.
Can I check it out?
Yeah, I've got it in my bag, actually. I'll grab it. Here's the secret, man. Golfer's Advantage roll-on pain cream. So all you have to do is rub it on the pain spot, and within a few minutes, the pain should be gone.
Okay.
Usually lasts the whole round of golf for me.
Wow, this feels way better.
Told you.
What's going on, San Antonio? It's Mike Anthony with Late Nights with All Access. We're here right now today at the Bernie Market Days, and we're here in support of our good friends at H-Empirical. So we're gonna go ahead and talk to the CEO, John Long, in a minute and show you exactly what they're doing here. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a monthly event. So don't go anywhere, and let's go ahead and talk to John Long and see what they're doing here at the Bernie Market Days. So we're right now inside of the Empirical tent, and we've got our good friend, John Long. You've already seen him on our show, and it's really good to be back over here to see you. Now, tell the viewers what it is that you're doing and what is this event all about?
So this event is just a weekend of opportunities for all these vendors to come together and kind of share their product that they've made, or they have their own retail shops and come out and just share with all the animals. You'll see there's dogs all over the place. Almost like a dog park. It's amazing.
Now, is this your first time doing this?
This is our first time doing this Bernie show, but it's been an amazing opportunity. We've been able to educate so many individuals on the uses of CBD. That's what we talk about every Tuesday on our show.
The Green Room, which you got to make sure that you tune in. Now, what is about this weekend? It's National CBD Day.
National CBD Day was yesterday, which is amazing. So it's a good opportunity for us to, again, get out there and educate individuals that this is not the same thing as cannabis. CBD and cannabis, two different things. CBD brings your body back to that holistic feeling without the highs.
That's amazing. Again, we are here in support of Empirical. Make sure to like and follow their page on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe to their channel. Again, every Tuesday, you said.
Every Tuesday
night, they have the Green Room, new episodes with different special guests. So again, we just wanted to take the time and share with y'all what we were doing here. Again, thanks, John. We appreciate it.
Good to see you. Hey guys, welcome back to our green room. We wanted to take a quick moment to kind of show you all these amazing cars that we've been talking about that I've been going, gaga over. It's absolutely crazy. These cars are just absolutely phenomenal. I wanted you guys to actually see what we see for a second.
Experience this.
It is just an amazing experience to be inside this area and see all these amazing vehicles.
Go show the Jeep, Mike Anthony.
Yeah, that's actually Dr. Wendy and I actually
Yeah.
do have
I think everybody- I
the
think
taste,
that's everybody's
the favorite
favorite.
taste in
I
that
think
Jeep.
so.
'Cause-
It wasn't my daughter's favorite, but yeah.
Really?
She liked the truck.
Yeah, she liked the Ferrari.
Okay.
Well, that's what my kids go to too.
And there was a Corvette here that she loved, right?
No, yeah, it's underneath. I
Okay.
think it's underneath the Jeep.
I think she's weird, but she loves Corvettes. And I thought, well, that's kind of a man's car, but
I love
Yeah, it's funny
Corvettes,
'cause
too. I've
my
had, like,
12-year-old
the-
likes that too.
Men, I know. It's like a dude's car.
Kelsey's favorite car is
It's
a Corvette.
fabulous.
I think it's just because it's loud. She's seen it. It's loud. It's
Fast.
It's fast.
You see more of them than you do
It's
of.
American made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
She's
true.
patriotic.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's that truck I was talking about. That truck is absolutely phenomenal. For those who just got a chance to see that,
Awesome.
that was actually some of the amazing vehicles that are here. Just a few. There's our Jeep that we're talking about.
Yeah, love
So exciting.
Thank
But
you.
anyway, I don't want to take this time to kind of allow Dr. Wendy to get into her presentation tonight.
Very cool.
Up in Smoke: A History of Cannabis and Prohibition in the U.S. So I'll let you kind of take over here.
So here we go. So I was doing an online CME about CBD because I just like to keep up with stuff and always get new information. And one of the speakers was saying that the pharmaceutical industry was in a position to lose $30 billion of revenue over the next 10 years simply from the loss of patients who convert to using a cannabis-based product if it were to become legalized in the 50 states. And then I kind of dug and researched it, and what I found was that they're estimating a $4.5 billion decrease per year in the pharmaceutical industry from the loss of patients who are going to switch over to a cannabis product for pain alone. And that's not even anxiety and insomnia, which are probably the top three that there's a lot of data and research on. So, I got nothing against the pharmaceutical industry. Well, that's not exactly true, but there are life-saving pharmaceutical products. I'm not talking about throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but there is enough room at the table for other options. And so that's a little bit of why I just wanted to get into this, because there's so many very powerful entities that are trying so hard to prevent cannabis from being legalized, and it's important to understand why. And we know that money is kind of at the root of all of it, but the pharmaceutical industry, it doesn't even really hurt them to lose $4 billion a year, but they don't want to lose it. And so some of the conditions that they're specifically concerned about losing clients or patients to, repeat customers, we call them, anxiety, chronic pain, epilepsy, sleep disorders. John talks about it for obstructive sleep apnea, and I would never have known until getting to know you more that it could really help people with OSA get into deeper waves of sleep so they can get some rest. Chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, and Tourette's syndrome. We actually met a gentleman at the Tupperware vendor at the Bernie Market Days whose son was teased relentlessly throughout middle school and high school because of his Tourette's, and all the drugs they put him on, CBD, has completely cured him. He has a really good sense of humor about it. He actually got the word Twitch, his nickname, tattooed on his abdomen, which I thought was so mean, but he takes it really well. But so this is a product that can really help people where maybe other agents that they've tried have not been able to. And so the money gets into it. But if we go back in time, back 5,000, 6,000 years of time, we see from civilizations and from archaeological records all over the planet that cannabis has been used to treat a variety of conditions. And some of the oldest recorded manuscripts and writings are from 2700 BC, when Emperor Shang Nen of China was prescribing gout for rheumatism, malaria, and declining memory. Isn't that interesting? Because now we worry about that as one of its.
That's me.
Yeah, memory, exactly. So maybe my CBD is helping with that too. Used throughout Asia and the Middle East and India. Going quickly through some of these, I know you can't see the slide very well, but it's just a fun timeline. I'm probably going to order that in poster form, and we'll have it in bigger to look at. The book of Exodus talks about holy anointing oils. And when you go into the texts more carefully, it's from a product called cannabosum, which is believed to be cannabis. And they've got the archaeological records, they've got all the drawings and everything that really appear that the anointing oils might have been cannabis medicine or strains of the hemp plant. Back up to China, ancient Egypt, they've been using it for inflammation, just like we've been talking about, and for cooling of the uterus. That wasn't really clarified, but I kind of thought maybe like, because childbed fever, postpartum
Yes.
endometritis that killed millions of women, like huge percentages of women, and so that was something that they used to treat it, because as we know, cannabis has got antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal properties. It's got anti-MRSA properties, and MRSA is a super hard condition to treat. We know MRSA is like community acquired now, but cannabis is very good anti-infective. And some of the terpenes and the cannabinoids produced by the plant are naturally to repel those microorganisms that would otherwise invade them and feed on them. 1000 BC, it's listed as one of the sacred plants of Hinduism. And they used it, they were one of the first civilizations to use it as an anesthetic. They would prepare a milk drink and use that when they did their surgeries on people. So then they used it in ancient Greece. I don't want to belabor this because really we could go on and on this topic all night. Persian physicians, ancient texts out of Persia or Iran, modern day Iran, and then to modern medicine. William O'Shaughnessy, who any doctor or medical professional knows about William O'Shaughnessy, and there were articles published even in The Lancet outlining the use of cannabis to help treat opium withdrawals. And in the modern literature, they talk about cannabis as being used to help decrease the craving. So when people talk about cannabis as a gateway drug, that's never been proven. We're going to go on to that in a second. Really, there's better science supporting its efficacy as an exit drug to help people get off of harder drugs that are much more addictive and much more harmful effects to their bodies and more risky. And then we start getting into the 1900s when something called the Pure Food and Drug Act was passed that began to have some restrictions on it, and that was mostly a labeling entity. That entity eventually evolved into the FDA, the modern day FDA. And
I was doing some research on
Yes.
that kind of after reading your presentation.
Yeah.
And one of the things I also found is that of all the paper made in the world before 1883, 75 to 90% of all the paper made in the world was hemp-based.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
No,
Hemp
it's-
is used for absolutely everything.
It's
and then,
absolutely amazing.
and then for European settlers, actually, they came to America. They were required to grow hemp, and it was mandatory in
mandatory.
Virginia, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. It was mandatory to grow that there in the early 1800s. So you had no options. If you had a farm, if you possessed land, you had to grow hemp.
Yeah.
because it's good for the soil. It actually helps to replenish the soil, and in contrast to most other crops that deplete the soil of nutrients, cannabis is a sequesterer. It will restore the health of soils so that you can continue to use it. So ecologically, it's a wonderful plant. But also that last picture showed you can do just about everything with hemp. You
Yes.
can make paper products, you can make super strong clothing, softer than cotton, you can make fuel, you can make like engine fuels to run cars. Like Ford had a prototype a car that was going to be able to run on hemp fuel. And you can make animal feeds. Hemp seeds are super nutritious, source of omega-3s. So you can make human foods, animal foods, clothing, all these other things. And that gets into the conspiracy theory alert. I'm just but again, the money is important. And so back in the 1920s and 30s, there were very, very powerful, wealthy forces. William Randolph Hearst had purchased millions of acres of timber in the country to print his magazines, which were at the time considered kind of tabloid journals. But he had a vested interest in using the trees that he had just bought to make paper. Lamont DuPont had bought the patents to create synthetic products out of petroleum. And so then Andrew Mellon was an owner of Gulf Oil, and he was the banker for Hearst and DuPont. John Rockefeller owned Standard Oil, and they were expanding their oil production and services to fuel the cars. America fell in love with the cars as soon as they were created. And then Andrew Carnegie and John Rockefeller were also financiers of the pharmaceutical industry, which was just being created. Now, that's a whole other show, but
Yes,
was
it
the
is.
pharmaceutical industry created thinking in good intent that the synthetic products that they wanted to use to treat people were going to be better than these primitive, unscientific products and plants that people had been using for thousands and thousands of years? Or did they see an opportunity to make money? I won't certainly ever know the answer to that question, but the whole shaping of the medical school industry and medical education has evolved into teaching us how to prescribe drugs and how to operate. We're not taught how to teach people how to eat more healthy. We're not taught how to teach them how to meditate and control their stress. What we know how to do is prescribe drugs and operate. And that's not necessarily the best way in many instances.
Well, that's not functional medicine, honestly.
not.
It's more of what the Western medicine used to be, and how it's just funny because even when you sit down and you talk to some physicians who've been practicing for 50 years, my ex-father-in-law was that way. He had delivered thousands and thousands of babies down in the valley, and his mode of payment was actually a chicken or a goat or a pig. That's just the way they were. And they kind of did the same thing with hemp. Hemp was one of those things that was traded as currency, as real currency in the U.S.
valuable.
back in the early 1800s and actually up until the 70s, 1970. So that's absolutely amazing that we kind of forget what this benefit of this product has done for us as a civilization as a whole.
Original drafts of the Constitution were written on hemp paper.
Yes.
So it's been an incredible plant. And then, again, these forces that had all these vested interests in products that were going to be competed with by hemp kind of coalesced. And however it came about, this was a little bit of racism sneaking in even back then, and mostly Mexican and black racism, because it was mostly the Mexicans who were coming into the country to work who brought marijuana for recreational use. We used hemp as a source of all these other products, but they brought it in smoking and using it as a source of recreation like other people drink or whatnot, and alcohol had been prohibited. So they began to kind of demonize the Mexicans and then black musicians, and there was this ridiculous campaign, smear campaign, saying that when people smoked cannabis, marijuana, that they became crazed and that they were going to sexually assault white women. I mean, it was ugly. And people, if you're familiar with this, you can find all of these articles, pictures, flyers, newspaper clippings from the time that show that they absolutely were beginning to target and exhibit really ugly racism as a method of trying to turn the population away from the plant that they had been using and benefiting from for such a long time, and then to switch over to these other products. So racism had a big part in the prohibition of cannabis. They were able to successfully convince the politicians that it was a dangerous drug and that it was highly addictive and that it turned people crazy. Now, even at the time when the Marijuana Tax Act was passed, the mayor of New York, LaGuardia, commissioned an investigation because he didn't believe it. He'd seen it in use and knew what it was good for. And so a 5-year report, an investigation was produced, and the scientists who worked on that report found that it did not cause addiction or induce inappropriate behavior or violent behavior. And so there was one piece of evidence that refuted it, but also, we're talking about 1937, so these weren't people that had like wonderful research techniques at their disposal. There was not any science to prove that, one, it was a dangerous drug, that two, it was a gateway to using other drugs, or that it was highly addictive. So none of those fallacies were substantiated by any science, and yet those laws were passed, and now here we are, 100 years later almost, working really, really hard to try and overturn laws that should never have been passed in the first place. So
Well, it's that mindset. It's so easy for us as a civilization to kind of get into that mindset, because even if you stop and think about what our society as a whole is going through right now, a lot of our kids nowadays, unfortunately, I have a lot of kids in college and my younger ones who sometimes have these perceptions, if they're not guided. So if I'm not taking the time to guide my children in the right direction, and there's a lot of parents who are single parents, a lot of broken families, they don't have that time either. They're working 1 or 2, sometimes 3 jobs to sustain themselves and their children. they don't have the time to really focus on those children, to really guide them the way they have to be guided. So I know when my kids are going into, most of my children graduated from UT Austin. So unfortunately, it's a very liberal school. You know, they learn to believe a lot of those liberal beliefs, unfortunately. So, and we're very much conservative. So, you know, trying to go back and show the kids the difference in both and why it's one is better than the other, or what's best for them. Because I don't really want them to take on our views. I want them to take on their own personal views. But at the same time, kind of show them what that belief is and why it's there.
Absolutely.
Because even when I sit down and talk to some of my own personal family, I ask them, well, why are you Democrat? Why are you Republican? Was their family was, or their father was, or their mother was.
Correct.
They don't really have their own belief. They don't understand what's behind it. So teaching the children as a whole to really understand the whole aspect of politics and what it stands for and what they stand for, you know, is kind of really what we need to do.
Yeah.
And educate our consumers on the realness of why this product should be legal for us.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't have been outlawed to begin with,
Right.
you know, back in 1970.
Right.
It should have.
37, yeah.
Yeah.
The prohibition came that way. And that was a kind of a sneaky way to do it, right? The Marijuana Tax Act imposed taxes, but it also required anybody who was
That's right.
going to prescribe it to a patient to give that patient's name to the government and keep them in a registry so that they were being tracked. It's a little bit like what's happening now. But
right.
all back in the day. So, and I wanted to address, there's still so many doctors, even doctors that I know, people that I respect that are very good doctors, who still don't believe that marijuana has medicinal value. And that's one of the primary complaints that people will say, like, we don't have enough research. I have so many issues with the claims that there's not enough research, and issues with randomized controlled trials as well. But there is so much preclinical benchwork research explaining and understanding mechanistically how the different components of cannabis work with the receptors within our body to affect mostly, almost all good, positive changes and to try and restore balance. The medicinal value thing too, one of the slides, and I can't see the slide, so I apologize, I'm totally out of sequence, but one of the slides in the presentation shows that the top 10 patent holders in North America of cannabis, the top 10 cannabis patent holders, and every single one of them is a pharmaceutical industry that hold between like 13 and 50 patents. And one of the top patent holders of cannabis products in the country is the United States Department of Health and Human Services. And last year, the patent, thank you, that HHS they owned 2 patents on CBD, which expired in late 2019, for its antioxidant properties and its neuroprotective properties. So that means 7 years ago, they filed a patent because they knew or believed it had such powerful properties as brain protection and antioxidant work that they patented it themselves. So for people to think that these pharmaceutical companies don't know enough that cannabis isn't medicinal is really just delusional. It has tremendous medical value. And yes, perhaps ancient civilizations didn't have, chromatography and molecular studies, but they developed the wheel, and they developed writing, and they developed agriculture. These were not primitive societies. They were very bright working with the tools that they had. But I love this slide with the 10 companies with the cannabis patents in North America, because it's all the big ones. AbbVie, Sanofi, Merck, Bristol Myers Squibb, GW Farm, Pfizer, Roche, Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Now they are doing some phenomenal research
really
in
are.
Israel, and I'm so excited with their research as it comes out. And then the University of Connecticut and HHS as the top patent holders. Thank you, John, for
Sure.
finding that for me. So,
It's funny because I've been working with a lot of pharmaceutical companies over the last 18 years, and one of the things I found, unfortunately, there's a lot of good and bad to it. Of course, we as a civilization here in the United States have a much better system than what a lot of countries have. But Canada has a great system. So does Great Britain, it's amazing because some of these other countries that don't have the benefits that we do, they don't spend a whole lot of money. Like in Central and South America, we can go out there and buy a sanitation number and get our drug distributed all throughout Central and South America for a very, very nominal cost. But for here in the United States, a phase 1 trial will cost us anywhere between $33 to $38 million for a phase 1 trial. So I used to own a research company, so I've done a lot of these trials. And in fact, I've talked to 2 of those major players that are actually on this list that Dr. Wendy just showed. And we've talked about doing some clinical research trials for them. We're actually trying to gather information that would kind of bring them to the table to fund some of these trials, because that's a lot of money for them to put up. But when you look at the big picture, if they can create a product with CBD or even cannabis that can really benefit individuals as a whole. One of the things I keep telling Dr. Wendy that I'd love to do is create a product that's affordable for everyone. You know, if we can sell this to Medicare, to Medicaid patients and make it affordable, you know, as opposed to some of these drugs they're currently taking that are eating up their entire Social Security check, it's
The side
ridiculous.
effects. I mean, the side effects of some of
Exactly.
these drugs, not just financially, but the side
Yeah.
effects of some of these drugs are.
Well, I saw what it did to my grandparents, and they're on fixed income, so you know we were subsidizing them, and so were my aunts and my uncles, and you know it just draws from everyone to support our older population. So I think us as a younger generation or baby boomers want to get in there and kind of start showing opportunities for our kids to kind of help take care of us, you know, as we get older, how they can do that and make it affordable for them. Because when you see what our kids are kind of being taught to do right now, you know, they're not really saving money the way they were before. They're not doing a whole lot of things they were doing before. They're not wanting those high-end jobs. They're not. So things are changing as a society. So we're going to have to make sure that they have opportunities to subsidize us as an older generation. To hopefully not put me in a nursing home, just leave me there, but to really find opportunities for
Right.
care for us.
Yeah.
That's going to be affordable and actually be beneficial to
Right.
us. Not something that just puts us into a vegetative state
Right.
and just sit there and develop cubitus ulcers.
Absolutely. And the cognitive decline and the inflammation and these illnesses that are kind of the scourge of our society right now, we don't have great treatments for, and it's still being looked at and studied preclinically, but cannabis holds a lot of promise for these conditions too, especially from things like neurologic deterioration that we're all experiencing. So I know that there's a ton of information to get through, and it's a lot to take in, but I just wanted to address a couple of these big roadblocks that people have about cannabis as medicine. The gateway drug theory just very quickly has been extensively studied, and even the National Institute on Drug Addiction back in 2016 made a public statement that they don't feel that they have enough research to say that marijuana is a gateway drug. And in order to say something's a gateway, you need to have a mechanism of action showing how it causes me to go on to the next drugs. They don't have that. So it's all just associations. Associations are important, but they don't tell exactly how it works. And there are studies that show in other countries that there's not the association, that a lot of the hard drug users never started with marijuana. They just went to other things. And the safety of cannabis is so important for people to understand. Something called the therapeutic index. Just for example, it's the ratio of how much of a drug it takes for it to have an effect that you want, like pain relief or improvement in my depression, versus how much it's going to kill me. With alcohol, 2 shots will get you drunk, or less if you're sitting in the middle here. 20 shots will kill you. And with cannabis, the ratio is estimated because they've never been able to kill a research animal by giving it enough of a drug. And the estimate of it is 20 to 40,000. So I've heard it said that you could not possibly ingest enough cannabis to die from it. You will feel rotten for a while, but it's not going to do any permanent damage in the overwhelming majority of situations. And so I know there's tons and tons. We always need more research. I'm not saying that we don't, but with respect to cannabis's safety and applicability and potential benefit, I think it's been studied enough. And the way medicine is studied, cannabis will never fit in that model because of how they want to use a single molecule and do a randomized control trial, which doesn't look at our genetic differences, and it doesn't look at people who have more than one medical condition, doesn't consider anybody who's taking more than one prescription drug. So the randomized control trial has a ton of limitations built into it and a lot of bias in the publication, what studies get published and which ones don't. So I know I've gone on and on and on, and we're
No.
short
Actually, we
on
have a few
time.
questions
Do
actually
we?
came
Okay.
through.
Okay.
So Brian actually had a pretty good question. It sounds like Brian might be in the pharmaceutical industry.
He was.
Says pharmaceutical companies cannot patent anything that is natural correct. They have to be synthesized Synthesized. I'm
Correct.
sorry.
It can either be
First correct.
They can't patent a naturally occurring product. They can patent an isolate molecule like a cannabinoid, and they can patent a delivery method. So if they can figure out a way for me to get THC in a transdermal patch or in an eye drop, they can do that, but they can't patent a plant. And there's too much variation in the plant from one grow to the next potentially, that it would be impossible to patent at that level too.
But so I'm going to kind of comment on that a little bit, because that's one of the
Yes,
things
please.
that
You know
our
all
parent
about this.
company is actually doing. So they're working on genetics on the seeds itself. So this is something that's really exciting about hemp as a whole. You know, as we learn more and more about these cannabinoids, I cannot speak tonight. I am so sorry. I'm embarrassing
Great. We know
myself.
you mean.
But anyway, as
know
I
the
continue
thing.
as I continue to smoke incorrectly. One of those things that happens though is these products that are out there. I just blank. I forgot my thought.
You were talking about cannabinoids in the patents. And
Yes.
one of the parent company, Green Seed
Yes.
Farm to, yes.
So First Seed actually is working
First Seed.
on the actual genetics itself for
Yeah.
the seed, so we can grow a higher concentration of CBD. And Mike, it's got to be you. It's a higher concentration of CBD to get the highest content of what we need without that THC, because that's one of the things that everyone keeps talking about. Is especially military individuals, physicians, officers. They don't want that THC because if they get drug tested,
Yeah.
they can't have that. So but they want to have the benefit of all the other benefits of the plant. So that's what we're trying to do. Is we're actually working on pulling out that genetic to grow that plant specifically. We also clone a lot of our plants. So we grow mother plants and then clip them and then grow them into specific plants that have higher concentrations of CBD, CBG, CBN, CBA. So we can actually do a whole crop. If we want to do all CBG crop, we could do that.
Awesome.
So that's one of the things that we're
That's
also
so
doing
exciting.
now. Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is. So our parent company is doing a fantastic job with that.
That is so exciting. I can't wait to go to the farm.
Yes. But Brian, that's a great question. So thank you for that question.
Thank
I
you,
really
Brian.
appreciate it.
Any other questions?
No, that was good. That was really, really good. And that's such an awesome, thought process that you kind of got us into is thinking about how legitimately this product was used for such a long period of time, and just to outlaw it just because of control of, unfortunately, assets
Money,
and
yeah.
growth of
Yeah, and competition. Yeah.
But if
It's
we
a
can,
shame.
if we can kind of continue to use this to our benefit, what could we do as a whole, as a nation?
Yep.
What could we do for our opioid addiction?
Yeah.
What would that do as a whole right now,
Exactly.
just to make that difference? Can you imagine how many people right now, we're talking about how many people die from coronavirus, right?
Yes.
Can you imagine how many people die from opioid addiction,
Yes.
overdoses?
Yes.
They have these different pop-up tents that they go, like in Seattle and Cincinnati. I've been to a couple. I was down in one in San Diego. In fact, they had one. So essentially, it's for anyone who's actually on any type of heroin or any type of addictive drug. You come into this facility, a pop-up tent, and they have physicians and nurses that work there to volunteer there. And essentially, they will monitor them during their high.
DTs, or during their
Yes.
high. Interesting.
So if they're overdosing, then they'll bring them
Yeah.
out of it. If you have their DTs,
Yeah.
then they'll monitor them as well. And,
The COVID has
Tro-
taken everyone's attention, and even the TMA, their latest article magazine came out saying the opioid epidemic, the forgotten epidemic. Well, we didn't forget about it.
Right.
Everybody's been trying to just shift attention away.
It's just a pandemic. It's taking
Yeah,
over.
It's taken over everything. But no, cannabis has a big role, and there's a lot of studies that have shown that in states where marijuana is legalized, that the opiate prescriptions and the opiate overdose deaths drop precipitously. So lots of potential benefit from the plant, minimal risk, if any. So yeah, we just wanted to share with you. And we thank you all for tuning in, and we're looking forward to our next visit back to the vault.
Yeah, that would be
And our
amazing.
next episode in 2
So
weeks.
as always, guys, we love to give away products, and this week we're going to be giving away a 4-pack of cocaine. That's our
That's our contribution to the
just
drug
so you
trade.
know.
Yeah.
We talked about all this stuff. It's so perfect that we're giving away a 4-pack of our
Yeah.
cocaine. And Stephen, please make sure you put up our energy drink up there so people know that we're not talking about real cocaine, but it's actually our energy drink that's called cocaine. So our individual that wins tonight will actually win a 4-pack. So we actually have a cola, we have a berry, we have a spicy version, which is great for those micheladas. I love them with that.
Micheladas,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, and then we also have a mango. So those are the 4 flavors we currently have. But really good stuff. And they really are pretty strong, because I took one. We have them in a little 5-hour energy drink version. We also have a 12-ounce can version. So I took one of the little 5-hour energy cocaines.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I drove from Colorado to San Antonio 18 hours straight. Without
That's a
stopping.
horrible drive.
My daughter took over the last hour. I think we're getting like right into Kerrville, around that area.
yeah.
She drove from Kerrville home.
5 hours turned into 17 hours.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good product.
It was really good. It really
Thank
gave
you
me
all so
quite a
much.
stimulus. So,
Yeah.
all right, Mike Anthony, who do we have winning our product line tonight?
Brian Maggio.
Brian Maggio. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes. Well, thanks for asking us those questions, Brian. You're the winner of our 4-pack this evening of our cocaine brand. We hope you love that, our energy drink. And we hope to see you back, guys, in 2 weeks. With the holiday season coming up, one of the things that we've done is we've actually decided to kind of decrease our shows to twice a month, because we know you've got a lot of stuff going on. We've got a lot of stuff going on as well. Dr. Wendy also has a great new show also that I cannot miss. So I got to take time to make sure I watch her show too, and it's always amazing.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. And
thank
why don't you
you
tell us,
again.
when is your show next?
Oh, it's going to be next Wednesday, the 14th. Yeah.
This is the second part to the
Yeah, part 2 of the microbiome episode. And hope you all can join us. And thank you so much, Brian
Thank
and
you.
Kelsey, for
Thank you, everybody,
sponsoring
for
and for
joining,
hosting.
and thank you all both for
Thank
being
you.
here.
I
What y'all
really
are doing for
appreciate it.
everybody.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate everything you've done for us tonight.
Absolutely, thank you.
You're a fantastic host, so we really appreciate it. So, Brian, we thank you for winning our products tonight. We look forward to seeing you guys back in 2 weeks. Y'all have a great evening.